Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Welcome back once again to the Abundant Way Ministries Tuesday evening empowerment series. My name is Robert Davis. I always feel like saying that. This is my lovely wife.
Good evening.
Melly
And
Boo.
once again, I never know what's going to happen on this live broadcast. So I don't know why this hat is on, but we're here.
If you haven't figured it out by now, I've been wearing a different hat every week. That's because I'm a man of many hats.
Yeah, you are.
So I am a husband, a father, a brother, a son, an uncle, a grandfather. I have been in information technology for 31 years. And I have been in real estate for 24 years. And we started this ministry 3 years ago. A man of many hats.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder, how do we get it all done? We don't.
Grace.
We don't. Hey,
Daddy.
Robert Davis Sr., that's my dad there.
Get your son.
A big shout out to the big RL. Yeah. A lot of what I talk about too, when we talk about finances and investing and stuff like that, actually came from Daddy. Yeah. Thank you, Daddy.
Yeah. Everybody's not lucky
for raising me
had that.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? Of course, today we're still talking about real estate investing, and we're doing it progressively on purpose. And we're going to continue that. Today we're going to actually, so when we first started, we talked about the big why. Why consider investing in real estate? And we talked about there's other things to invest in, like the stock market and other businesses, and we talked about why real estate. And then the following week, we talked about vision and goals and strategy. That was last week, right? And then this week, we're going to actually talk about how to get started. So we're going to recap a little bit of those weeks going into today's session. But when I think about the why, going back to the why real estate, really the bigger question is why consider investing at all? Yeah. And that's what was on my mind when I was out walking today. Why do I think this is important? Because the more I think about it, the more I realize that we cannot bet our whole personal economy on our job. I think that would be a mistake, especially the way the nation's economy is going and the global economy is going, where it seems like it's headed.
Yeah. Right.
There used to be a time when you could rely on pensions, and some people who didn't have that could rely on what the government would provide. Once they were no longer able to work, like Social Security and different government programs. But those things are no longer guaranteed. And so the big why then becomes, what are you going to do for money when you can no longer work? if you don't take your working years and invest the money that you make, how are you going to live when you can't physically make money anymore? So the big why of investing is to make your money work for you, right? That's the big why. Doesn't have to be real estate, but it should be something, right? And I would suggest that you diversify. So when we talk about diversification, a lot of times we look at our 401ks and our mutual funds and say, well, it's diversified. And that's true to a certain extent. But if your money is only in the stock market, which the 401ks and the mutual funds are in, you're only diversified but so much. Because when the stock market crashes, and it does from time to time, if all of your money is only in that one investment vehicle, then you're not as diversified as you think, right? So it's good to be in the stock market and also in other things like real estate. So why real estate? So that you can have other options for investing, right? So if the stock market crashes, but you have rental property, you can possibly still be earning some money until the market comes back. That's one good reason. So why real estate on the Abundant Way Ministries is because that's what I know. Like I said before, I put out the disclaimer for the Abundant Way. I'm protecting us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're not giving anybody advice. We're not telling you what to do with your money. We're just raising the issue. And we're talking about something that we know about. I would love to talk about the stock market, but I need to learn it better myself. So I'm invested safely, so to speak. I've got the 401ks, and then I started playing with stocks individually, and that's the main thing. Whatever you do, get yourself educated. That's the main thing. So we're giving you basic level stuff here, but it's your responsibility to take your education further. And there's no better time to do it than now, because you have information at your fingertips with the internet, with Google, with YouTube, and now with ChatGPT and all of these AI applications. You literally can learn this stuff. And I fear that so many people are still just sitting on the sidelines as if that day is not coming. That day when you can no longer work is coming. And I hate for you to wake up one day and realize that you don't have the income that you used to have, and the government is not coming to save you, but the bills, the expenses, let me call them expenses, because that's what they are. A lot of times we say the word bill. A bill is I bought something and I owe the money for the thing that I bought. I got a bill to pay. Expenses are things that just keep coming. You don't really have to buy it. This is life. Food, clothing, shelter, transportation, utilities, your communication. That's your phones and your televisions and health expenses. All of that's going to continue to come, whether you work or not. That's just part of life. Hey, Robin.
Hey, Robin.
And so the big why is because we know that's coming, right? And it would be a sad commentary to know that this is coming and not at least try to do something. So I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but you gotta try. All right. With that being said, we're going to get into it. You got anything to say about that? Because that's some real talk.
Yeah.
That's real talk.
Real talk.
Real talk.
No, but you expressed it well.
Yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned about us. Because the more I teach it, the more I realize we need to do more and we need to do it fast.
Yeah.
We need to do it faster. So the stuff that we're talking about on this broadcast is not just for you. It's not us preaching to you, but it's about us informing all of us, including ourselves, educating ourselves, motivating ourselves to get up, get going, because time don't wait on nobody.
Nope.
Do you realize we've been married for 9 years already?
I know.
Wow.
I know.
The house that we're in, I bought it in 2013, so it's 12 years old already.
12 years old.
Come October the 13th, I bought this house.
Yeah.
Fast. That time flies. It doesn't even feel like it. And I never thought I would be here this long. Never thought I would be here this long. I said, I'll give it about 5 years. I'm going to find me. No, we're still here because it goes so fast.
Yeah.
You look up one day and 15 years is gone. And so I'm going to use that as a segue into what we're talking about, getting started. So we talked about why, we talked about vision, goals, and strategy. Now we're going to talk about how to get started. And the reason why I said that's a great segue into what we're talking about, because two things happen. That time thing is so critical. Here's what time will do. Either you'll keep saying, I'll get to it, and those 15, 20, 30 years will sneak up on you, or you don't do anything at all. Oh, no, I take that back. That's you don't do anything at all, and that time sneaks up on you, or you get started, and you realize that what you thought was a long time, like when we talk about real estate, we talk about real estate in terms of it being a long-term investment. You have to think of real estate as a long-term investment. That's how it really works well for you. And I think our generation and the generation behind us are so impatient that we want to see money now. And I'm saying to you that to make money in real estate, you need to be prepared to hold on to a property, hold on to real estate, period, for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Not necessarily the same piece, because you might have to exchange some out when you analyze the depreciation and the condition of the property. But that's, the longer you're in it, the better you'll do, right? And so people think, oh, that's a long time. 10 years holding on to a property, 15 years. Man, that time will fly by so fast. But if you keep working the program, the time will fly by in your favor, right? It'll fly. You look up before you know it, and you'll have your real estate paid off,
right?
And that's the ultimate goal, to have, in my opinion. There's some other real estate gurus who will disagree. They believe that you should keep everything leveraged, have loans out on everything and have it maxed to the tilt. I'm of the opposite school. I'd rather own my stuff free and clear. Now, we may not be able to buy it free and clear off the bat, but you should have a strategy on how you can pay it off quickly, right? So we're gonna talk about that. So if you get started, time works in your favor. If you sit on the sideline, time gonna work against you, right? So I'm suggesting that you get started. All right, it's your turn now, right? We gotta lay the biblical foundation, because everything that we're talking about, whether you believe it or not, is biblically based. It has it has a biblical foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to start with the Bible.
And we're going to read Proverbs 24:3.
Ready, read.
By wisdom, a house is built, and through understanding, it is established.
All right. By wisdom, a house is built, and through understanding, it is established. Okay, that's cool. I don't think I have anything to say about that. I'll let y'all process that. Y'all interpret that for yourselves. Proverbs 24, verse 3, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. So it's going to take, if you plan on investing in real estate, you're going to have to use wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have to understand what
Mm-hmm.
you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So this is, I'm trying to get folks out of that. Oh, I just saw this on YouTube and I'm gonna just jump out there and do it. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Please.
Understand what you're doing and walk in wisdom when you're doing it. All right. Okay. Let's talk about preparing yourself to invest. We're gonna get started here. Preparing yourself to invest. Financial prep. Financial prep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. First one is, we just did this. I didn't come up with that. I didn't write that.
Sure you did.
What does it say?
Check credit score and clean up debts if possible.
That's what we've been talking about. Getting them credit scores right and cleaning up debt, paying off debt. That's one of the first things you want to do as you start thinking about going into real estate investing.
Mm-hmm.
What's number 2?
Save for down payment, closing costs, and reserves.
Ooh, that's a good one, because a lot of people, when they watch YouTube and they hear the soundbite, no money down. You can buy this house without no money. Yes, it can be done. I've done it myself personally. But the reality is that it takes money to make money. And so even if you can get into a deal without using your own money, you should still have money available and ready in case you need it, right? And here's a sub clause to that. Yes, you can buy real estate with no money. Absolutely. I've done it many times, but it still takes money, right? And what do I mean by that? Yes, even if it's not your own money, I bought property with other people's money, right? But when you get the property, it's still going to take money to run that property. Why? So you might be able to get into it if you're creative, you know how to do creative finance. You might be able to get the house with little or no money out of your pocket. But once you get the house, you still may have to do repairs. You still got to get utilities. You still got to get insurance. You still got to pay taxes, right? And you need reserves. Hey, nephew. And you need reserves. These are the things that people are not talking about on the internet because they want to sell you their program and their coaching for $10 and $20 and $30,000. You need money when you're investing in real estate. Even if you get into the house with no money, you still need reserves. What are reserves for?
Well, you named a bunch of reserves.
I'm going to let you guess. Reserves.
That's the unexpected.
Got your money nose. Talking about you ain't know nothing about this. She tried to get out of this call. Talking about this your thing.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about this. Yes, you do. And here's the thing. We didn't plan this. I did that on purpose because most people think that this is like a complicated thing. Most of this stuff you already know. It's common sense, right? Why would you need reserves when you're buying real estate? Because unexpected things happen all the time. And you need money to be able to answer those unexpected issues, period, point blank. Not if they happen, when they happen. You need reserves. All right, let's do number 3. What does that say?
Get pre-approved with the lender. Know your buying power.
That's good. That's good. Because truth be told, ideally, I would love to be able to buy all of our investment properties with cash, free and clear, and not ever have to go to the bank. But the reality is that 9 times out of 10, we ain't gonna have that kind of money sitting around just to go put down. And then if you did, you kind of would be limiting yourself on being able to buy multiple properties, right? Because if you, let's say a property costs you $150,000, it's a rental property you buy, and you have $150,000. Once you spend that $150,000, then you're no longer liquid, right? The money is in the house. And so now you don't have money to go and buy the next house. And the only way this thing really makes sense is you have to buy multiple houses. And there's a reason for that. You could get one is okay, but it's, it's better when you have a plan that is going to scale up, right? So that you can use that at a later time to actually scale down. That's a whole nother strategy I have to talk to you about later. But anyway, you want to get pre-approved with a lender because chances are you don't have all of the money to buy houses with cash. There are some people who do, but most people do not. So and this is why real estate is actually one of the better investments, in my opinion, because you can leverage what you do have against the bank's money, right? So let's say a house costs $150,000. I'm gonna just say $100,000 to use round figures, and they require you to put 20 or 25% down. That means that you don't have to have the whole 100. But if you have $20,000 or $25,000, you can buy that $100,000 house. It's called leverage. You leveraging the little money that you have to buy an asset that's worth much more. That's the beauty of real estate. That's one thing you cannot do in the stock market. You cannot go into the stock market and say, I want to buy 100 shares of Amazon, but I'm gonna only put up $20 and let somebody else put up the rest. Don't work like that, right? But in real estate, it does. So you want to get pre-approved with a lender, right? And know your buying power. Your buying power is made up of the monies that you do have combined with the monies that they will lend you. So let's say you did have $100,000. That doesn't mean take your $100,000 and buy that $100,000 house. If it requires 20% down, that's $20,000. You could literally, with $100,000 of your own cash, 20, 40, 60, 80, 1, you could buy 5 houses with your $100,000. And those 5 houses would be 100 times 5 in value, equity value, $500,000. So with your $100,000, you bought $500,000 worth of assets. Only in real estate can you do that, right? That's why I like real estate. Get approved. And I would say not just get approved, but develop relationships with your lenders, whether they be banks or individuals. Because
that was my question. Just ask that question.
Lenders in terms of banks or private lenders, both. We use both. Yep. And you want to develop relationships, good relationships with both. Especially with banks, especially your relationship starts with sometimes with you having an account at that bank, and it also starts with your credit. This is how they start establishing a relationship with you. They're looking at your credit to see what type of borrower you are based on your history. do you pay your bills on time? Because they're looking at that to say, if you haven't paid these other people on time, what makes me think you're going to pay me on time, right? That's why you want to get your credit score up, because the lenders look at that to determine whether they want to have a relationship with you or not. All right. Now, that was financial prep. Let's go to mental prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should have been first.
That should have been first.
That should have been first.
There's a mental preparation that you have to go through before you start investing in real estate. What's the first one?
Shift mindset from consumer to investor.
Yes. It's a mindset shift. Okay, so, and that mindset shift has levels. Number one, if you have never considered investing, never thought about investing, then or never even thought about being in business for yourself, then there's a mindset shift that has to take place, because the majority of people are not really cut out to be entrepreneurs or investors. It's a different mindset. Why? Because there's risk involved. Many people are afraid of risk, but you cannot invest without having some risk tolerance. Every investment, whether it's in real estate, the stock market, or in business, every investment bears risk. So that first mindset change is really about, how do you handle risk? Because as a consumer, there's little to no risk. You're just the buyer, right? You're spending your money. As the investor, you're buying with a purpose to rent out to other people, and now you become a business owner in that sense, right? You are responsible for a whole lot of stuff now. That mindset should have to change. Now, what else?
Expect challenges, but focus on long-term benefits.
Expect challenges. That is, oh my goodness, this is good. I didn't even write this, but it took my mind. I'm telling it. I ain't no shame in my game. Listen, expect challenges. Please don't get into real estate investing or any other investing with the thought that nothing is going to go wrong, right? You have to expect that there will be some problems and there will be some challenges. In fact, that's the number one quality of an entrepreneur, to be a problem solver, right? Yeah, we like to celebrate an entrepreneur's success and say, oh yeah, they made it, they made all this money. But what they don't talk about is all the problems that they had to deal with and solve, right? So you have to be a problem solver. It's not that you don't want challenges, right? Because they will come, right? Challenges will come. Expect that going in. So let's set the expectation in the mind. Like, okay, we are hoping, praying for a brighter day,
right?
But I'm prepared to deal with challenges. One of the ways you prepare is what we talked about just a minute ago: having reserves. You know that they're coming, so have reserves. This is how you keep your mind sane. You keep your sanity, because when the challenge comes, you got something set aside to deal with it. All right, here's the third one. I know you're gonna love this.
Spiritual prep.
Spiritual prep. Say that again.
Spiritual prep.
Do you know that oh my goodness, that you got to be in the right spirit when you're going into business and investing. You got to be in the right spirit. What does it say?
Pray for wisdom and discernment before making commitments.
How many of y'all don't even pray? Well, if you start investing or if you go into business for yourself, you better start praying, because you're going to need it. A lot of times you're going to be like, God, if it don't happen now, I've prayed for God to show me how to work a deal. Remember this last week? How to bring the funds together, who to talk to, where to get it, how to maneuver.
Yep.
And he'll wake me up at 4:00 in the morning and say, "This is what you do," so that you don't put everything. You don't bet the whole farm, right? Yeah, bet the whole farm. He said, "Nah, we're gonna do this with wisdom."
Yeah.
Right? Yes, there's risk, and so you got to walk in wisdom. What's next?
Surround yourself with godly counsel and experienced mentors.
Okay, so these are people that you might not find on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
You need to connect with. They say godly counsel. Okay, so that doesn't necessarily mean you're a pastor, right? But it means that you want to connect with other people who have been in real estate for some time, and they're God-fearing people, which means that they're not going to try to take advantage of you, right? Or they're not unscrupulous, just doing unethical business stuff, right? You want to connect with ethical, God-fearing people who have been doing what you want to do for a long time. That's some of the best advice that I'll give you. Stop trying to go out there on your own. This is a team sport. Yeah. Even though you'll be making your own investments, you need to get yourself a team, right? All right. So now we're gonna switch.
Put up Mike's comment real quick.
Also, Mike said also McDonald's is rich not due to selling burgers; they're rich due to real estate. Absolutely. Yeah. So if you really study the McDonald's story, you'll realize the reason why you see a McDonald's off of every freeway exit is because McDonald's is really in the real estate business.
What's the name of the movie? We watched it. I forgot the name of the movie. Mike, you remember the name of the movie? Put it in the comments.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the movie.
Yeah, it'll show you.
Yeah.
That.
Yep. Okay. And all right, we're switching gears now. So now,
according to Think and Grow Rich, that would be the Mastermind Alliance.
The Mastermind Alliance. Yeah, Think and Grow Rich. That's building the team. Good, Mike. I like the fact that you're reading. Do you know that there's so many people that won't read? Aisha told me that she got challenged by one of her students who just won't read, don't want to read, say don't need to read. Okay. And so if you don't read, then you're gonna get all your information from the internet.
Yeah.
Don't
do that.
Yeah. And Mike said he didn't see a movie, he read that in a book. Okay. Yeah. Good, Mike. I'm glad. All right, we're switching gears, talking about we kind of alluded to this earlier, all cash versus loan financing. So now we're actually going into how to get started. Number one, you're going to start with some money, right? You're going to start with some money. You heard me say that you can buy real estate with no money. It's really what it really comes down to whether the money is coming out of your pocket or not. But best believe money is changing hands, right? Somebody is putting up some money somewhere. And depending on how creative you can negotiate a deal, that somebody may or may not be you, but the money has to come from somewhere. Now, let's talk about the difference between buying all cash and taking out a loan to buy these investment properties. All right. So if we think about all cash, like what I mentioned earlier, my ideal picture for us would be to own all of our real estate investment properties free and clear, right? For two reasons. One, you've got a bigger cash flow coming in, right? And number two, when things go wrong, you're not in such a debt position that it stresses you out, right? So let's say your tenants stop paying rent, or let's say something like COVID happened where the government allowed tenants to stop paying rent. And then when that moratorium was lifted, the tenants didn't still pay rent. Now, if you had those properties leveraged, like a lot of people on the internet say, then how long can you pay those mortgages while the world gets back in order? Not long. But if you own those properties free and clear, you will last a lot longer, right? You still will have some expenses, right? You still got taxes and insurance at the very least, but you should be able to handle those a lot better than if you also had a mortgage. So those to me are pros, are the benefits of owning free and clear.
Okay.
Now, if you can buy it outright free and clear, that must mean you got a lot of money.
Right.
You got a lot of money, right? Here's a pro to being able to buy with cash. You can close quickly, right? So when you go with a lender, they're going to say it's going to take 30 to 45 days to get through this whole process. If you're working with cash, you can do it in 10 to 14 days. Or however long it takes the closing attorney to run the title. Come back with a clear title, you can close, right? Here's another pro. You don't have to pay any interest. Whenever you borrowing money, there's a cost to money. Nothing is free in life. So when you borrow money, you're actually paying the bank to use their money, and that's called interest, right? That makes your payments higher, right? When you buy with cash, you have higher negotiating power, meaning that if I tell a person I can close in 7 to 10 days cash, but instead of paying you $100,000, I'm gonna pay you 80. They might take that 80 because they gotta take a flyer on somebody else who got to go to the bank. It's going to take them longer to do it, and they may get denied. But here I am standing in front of you with cash in my hand. I'm just saying, give me a discount. I'm going to close it out as soon as the attorney is done, right? And here's the other pro, the last pro, you got instant equity. So really, you're just transferring your money into that house. So now the house then becomes the bank in a sense. It's what's holding your money, and it generally holds your money well, especially in a market that's appreciating. So now your money is actually making money. You don't see it in your hand, but as long as that house is appreciating, the $100,000 or $80,000 that you used to buy that house is now increasing. Right. It's $100,000, it's $120,000, it's $140,000, $50,000. Over time, that one investment will have increased a lot, right? Okay, what are the cons? We talked about this. One of the cons is that when you put your $80,000 in, your $80,000 is now tied up in that house. And so you lose out on opportunity to make other investments, right? And so we call that opportunity cost. There's an opportunity cost to using your own cash, right? Because now when the next great investment comes across your table, you can't do anything because your money is tied up in this house. That's one of the cons, right? And it may limit the growth if funds are all in one property, right? And we talked about it. See, and I didn't even me and ChatGPT.
You smart. Smart.
So you got to think about it like this. And so now it becomes, even if you have money, even if you have the cash, you have to use wisdom to decide whether or not you want to use it or not, right? So that's why I said, even if you had the $100,000, you may not want to use that $100,000 on one house. You may want to spread it out over 5 houses. Leverage, use the bank's money, and instead of buying one house with that $100,000, buy 5 houses with that same $100,000. And now you got 5 houses increasing in value that you have little money in. Okay, and so now you're making money and you're diversifying. You're spreading your wings. You got that? All right.
Read what Mahogany said.
What Mahogany say? Hey, Mahogany. Mahogany said, cash buying only works if you have long money. Yep, that's what we just said. Laugh out loud. So if that's your hard-earned savings, is not wise. Good point. Now, I do have had some investors who only used cash, but they did have long money.
Yeah.
They had real long money. Like they had millions of dollars. And in fact, they had when you get wealthy to that point, you have to use it. You have to invest it. None of my wealth clients keep money. I remember the one when his wife sold a house in California, and she made $3 million off that. The next phone call was, "We got to hurry up and get rid of this money. Find me some property, find me some houses, find me some commercial property, because we got to get rid of this money." Right? It makes no sense to have $3, $4, $5, $10 million sitting in the bank. That's not wise. That money should be out in the market making money. And so wealthy people get nervous when they get cash in their hand, because that's not where they want that cash to be. They don't want it to be in their hands, and they don't want it to be in the bank. They need that money to be out there making money. Okay, got that. Good point, Mahogany. Okay, now let's look at, that was about cash. That was about using cash. Let's look at loan financing. What are the pros to using loans, mortgages? Leverage. We talked about that. You can get a lot with a little. Control bigger assets with less money. And so you preserve your cash for multiple investments. I didn't even read that. I just knew that's how this thing works. You leverage when you use mortgages. It's the hat. There's knowledge and wisdom in this hat. What are the cons? There's risk. There's risk. There's risk of debt. So when things go wrong, like COVID, and people stop paying their rent, and if you can't make those payments, the bank is coming to get that house. And guess what they coming to get with it? Your $20,000 is lost in that. If they foreclose on you, you don't get no money back. You don't get your investment back. They take the house and your money is gone, right? And that's why I say you got to have those reserves. You may be able to buy a house with no money, but every property that you buy requires that you have money. For that reason alone, the risk of debt. You've got monthly obligations. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
If you know how to manage money well, you put it on automatic pilot.
Yep.
You know those bills got to be paid, so put it on automatic pilot. You got the monthly bill, right? And then you got interest payments. That's the downside. You got to pay the cost of borrowing money. We call it the cost of money, right? And so you have to control that. Like some people charge more to use their money than others, right? That's called interest. All right. So the rule of thumb is choose based on your goals, whether you're going to use cash or you're going to use financing. You're going to choose based on your goals, your risk tolerance, and the season of life that you're in. That's good. Where are you in life? Are you young and you can afford to take big risks? You got time. None of us know how much time we really have, but theoretically, when you're younger, you feel like, if things went bad, I still have time to recover. If you're in your 20s and your 30s, and even your 40s, you do a bad deal, you lose some money, you still got time to recover. If you're 60, 70 years old, you might want to choose a different strategy, because depending on how you make your money, you might not have a lot of time to recover from a loss, right? So that's the season of life. that you're in. And it's always about strategy, right? It's always about vision, goals, and strategy. And you set that based on where you are in life. It does not mean don't do anything. Right? It means that you might have to change your strategy based on where you are in life. All right. Number 4, steps to purchase your first investment property. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we've all been waiting for. How do I do it? Y'all been talking all this theoretical pie in the sky stuff all this time. I want to know, how do I get my first house?
Find it.
Well, that's a good one. I don't even think that's not even on the list. How did ChatGPT miss that?
Mm-hmm.
First, you got to find it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to find. Listen, here's what I've taught people. You're not trying to find a house.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the number one mistakes people make. They go looking for a house. Mm-hmm. What you really want to look for is a great deal. Mm-hmm. That's what you really want to find, is a great deal. The house just happens to be a part of it, but the numbers is the thing that you really should be excited over, right? Okay, let me go down this list because I think that's going to get mixed in there somewhere anyway. So number 1, it says define your investment goals. We talked about that last week. Mm-hmm. Vision, goals, and strategy. Do you want cash flow? Do you want price appreciation? Do you want to fix and flip properties, or do you want buy and hold? My suggestion would be to do both. Learn how to do both, because if you learn how to fix and flip, then you learn how to raise capital for your reserves, right? You can raise capital for your down payment. You see what I'm saying? So I would advise everyone to learn the skill set of buying, fixing, flipping, because you make lump sums of money when you do that in a short period of time, and you can use that money for your long-term investments, right? So for example, use a quick example. You find a house that's worth, and I'm using real numbers that actually happened for us, the Snellville property. Mm-hmm. House was worth 300 plus, 320, 350. We got it for 150. And all we did was cleaned it out, took 2 dumpsters and, boarded up some wood on the deck so that nobody would hurt themselves, and turned around and sold it to another investor and made a good chunk of money. Mm-hmm. I would say made enough money where my accountant told me, you better sell that through your real estate company and charge yourself the most commission you could charge yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna have to pay a lot of taxes. Mm-hmm. So, and he was right. Yep. Made good money. Used that money to pay off the money that I had to spend renovating another house that I had bought. Mm-hmm. Right. So you're able to raise money quickly, big money quickly, to do bigger things. Right. Make that one of your necessary skill sets. All right, let me keep moving. I'm getting distracted. Build your team. Okay, Michael, we talked about this. You got to build a team. Real estate is a team sport. Who do you want on your team? You want a real estate agent. You want a lender. You want home inspectors. You want contractors. You want attorneys on your team. We got all of those. And we got property manager. We got property management. You want all of, especially if this is not something you do for a living, get you a property manager. Don't try to do all of this stuff your own. You should know how to do it. You should know what needs to be done. But if this is not something that you do every day, right? Especially if you have a full-time job, which I do advise you keep your full-time job. or as long as you can while you're building your real estate portfolio, so that you don't have to use the money that your real estate is making for living purposes. You use that money strictly for real estate purposes. All the money that the real estate makes, you use it for real estate, period. To pay down the properties, to pay off the properties, to get into other deals. That's what that money is for. So you keep your full-time job, right? And you keep investing in real estate so that you don't have to eat that money, or else you're just standing still, really. All right. Build your team. That's your real estate agent, your lender, your inspector, your contractor, your attorney, and your property manager, right? That's what you want your team to be basically made of. Analyze properties. Run the numbers. Remember when I said it's not about the house, it's about the numbers. And we're going to come back to that. Number 4, make an offer and negotiate terms. Investing in real estate is not all about the purchase price. You want to negotiate terms. When you negotiate terms, that's another way you're able to get into property without using your own money. You can say something like, I'll give you the money next year if you let me use your money to buy it, what they call seller financing. So you're letting the person who sell you the house actually be your bank, and you're going to pay him his money at a later date. Man, it's so. Number 5, secure financing and finalize cash purchases, right? So in other words, get your money together. And number 6, close on the property and create a management plan, right? So closing on the property, that means when you found the property, you made your purchase offer, and now you're under contract to buy that property. Closing is the final step. That means when you all meet up at the title company or the attorney's office and everybody signs the paperwork that transfers the property from the seller to you as the buyer, and everything gets filed at the courthouse, that's what we call a closing. All the money exchanges hands, and everybody who's supposed to get paid gets paid, and the attorney is handling all of that to make sure everything is on the up and up. Once that deal is done, once that day is done, you have closed on the property. You have closed that deal. So that's the final stage, right?
All right. Before you jump into the next segment, Mike and Mahogany have been going back.
What they talking about? I love it. I love it.
So Mahogany asked, do you think something similar to 2008 crisis could happen again?
Something similar could happen, but because that's still recent in the grand scheme of things, and they put a lot of there was a lot of media attention on that. They put a lot of regulations in place since then to try to stop that, prevent that from happening again, right? So a lot of people went to jail for predatory lending and a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of things that are put in place to prevent that type of crisis from happening again. But the economy definitely could and will crash again. Yeah. And so that's why you want to be saving your money, right? So while you're working, you should always set aside a certain percentage of your income just for savings. And the reason for the savings, there's always got to be a why to everything. One reason is for emergencies, saving for a rainy day. But beyond that, once you get your emergency funds in place, then you want to keep saving well beyond that for opportunities, investment opportunities, so that when the market crashes and all of the houses are now dirt cheap again, guess who can start buying those houses? You, because you've been saving your money. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, keep saving. We don't know when, and it may not be as bad as 2008, but that time is coming one day in your lifetime. So yes, keep saving. Have you ever went to the land bank and participated in an auction for a property? I've looked at a lot of land bank property, but I have never bought land bank property. You know who used to manage the land bank? My old roommate, Gordon, for DeKalb County.
Oh, okay.
He used to manage the land bank for DeKalb County. Yeah. And I did look at some of those houses and some of the property in land bank, and never pulled the trigger on any one of those. Mm-hmm. I've been to auctions, and I have not bought a property from the auction, because by the time I start going, the hedge funds are sitting down there buying up everything. Mm-hmm. You can't hardly get nothing at the main counties in Atlanta's auctions, because you got 4 major hedge funds that have billions of dollars sitting down there in lawn chairs, and they buying up everything. They just got folks running around just buying stuff. Yeah. So your regular investor can't hardly get in. But we're about to start going to the outskirts, to the rural areas, mm-hmm. and looking there, because they're not interested in those areas, but there's money to be made. Right. Let me move on, because we're close to the end of time here. Long-term success factors. Here's one that I really want to talk about. It says buy right. Profit is made when you buy the property, not when you sell it. That's one of the number one lessons I learned when I first started investing in real estate. The investors used to say, I was going to say something else, but I'm not going to say it. The other investors used to say, you don't make money when you sell a property, you make your money when you buy it. Mm-hmm. And what they meant by that was, and that used to confuse me, like, what do you mean I make money when I buy it, not when I sell it? What they mean is, when you buy that property, you should already know how much money you're going to make. Mm-hmm. You should build your profit into your purchase plan, right? So you never buy a property until you can see where your profit is, right? And so you actually bag into your purchase price based on how much money you want to make. You understand what I'm saying? So you don't go out there just looking for houses. Ooh, that one look bad, it's boarded up, I'm gonna buy it. No, you have to bag into your purchase price. You don't even know how much to buy it for, right? You gotta do some analysis to determine what's the right price for me to pay for this property. What's the right price to pay for this property in order for me to make whatever, to achieve my goal. If I'm gonna flip it, I need to make, let's say, $30,000 per flip, or I'm not gonna buy it. You know, whatever that number is. I need to make 10 to 12% return on my investment if I'm gonna hold it, or I'm not gonna buy it. And you also use that number to say, since I want to make 10% on my money, a 10% return on my money, here's what I need to rent that property out for, and here's what I need to buy it for. And so they may say, we want $150,000 for this property, and in order for you to hit your 12% ROI, that spreadsheet says that you need to buy that house for $95,000. And so that's what you negotiate towards. They may say no and laugh at you and say, get out of my office. Okay, no harm, no foul. But at the same time, they can say, okay, because this was my stepmama's house and I ain't like her no way. And so you can have the house. I had people literally almost give me houses because they were just tired of it, ready to get out of it. I bought a house for $12,000, $16,000 because they just was tired, right? So you just never know until you ask, but you got to know what number you should buy for and what number you should not buy that, right? Number 2, always run cash flow analysis, never buy blind. And that's what I just talked about. Yeah. You don't buy houses just to be buying houses. You got to buy houses based on the numbers. Buy property based on the numbers. Number 3, maintain reserves for unexpected repairs and vacancy. Look, and we already talked about that. So you want to make sure that whatever you do, you not only have enough money to buy the property, but you also have enough money to put in reserves to support that purchase. I'm doing good, Robert. Robert Davis. You're doing good, boy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that the last one?
Yeah.
Okay. Treat investing like a business. Ooh, I said that too, didn't I? Track income expenses carefully. When you get into investing, you need to have yourself some kind of accounting bookkeeping system. I use QuickBooks. We use QuickBooks. For every business thing we got going on, we got a QuickBooks account that tracks all income expenses. It does your profit and loss report, does your balance sheets and all that. And at the end of the year, all I have to do is send that to my accountant and he takes care of the rest. Oh man, you better get you an accountant on your team. Was he on your team? I don't even think they had him on your team. They had the team.
Mike had it up there, a CPA.
Yeah.
Accountant. He mentioned it. Let me see. What was it? Where is it? Where did he say it? Because he said it.
Anyway, yes, you need. They didn't mention it.
The top three you need in business is attorney, CPA, and a banker or lender.
Yeah. You need a. It doesn't have to be a CPA. CPA was good. CPAs are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you really get big business going, yeah, I would get a CPA. But you can get you can get a good tax accountant.
Yeah.
As long as he's registered, registered tax accountant, not just a tax preparer. You need somebody who can advise you before you make purchases. Right. That's why I like my guy. Before I make a purchase, I call my accountant and say, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think about this? And they'll tell me, yeah, you can do it. And this is how you should do it so that you don't get hit with all these taxes at the end of the year. Right. Love it. You got to have that guy on your team. Yep. All right. Continue learning and adapting strategies as market shifts. Ooh, that's good. You know, what I was doing 10 years ago, it ain't the same as it is today. So you got to keep learning because things change. And if you don't change with time, you're going to get left behind and you're going to find yourself in a hole and can't figure out why, because the world has changed. It's different now than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, right? So you got to you got to stay abreast of what you're doing. All right, here's some common pitfalls to avoid.
Before you go there, because Mike had a question about formula for purchasing.
Now, is there a formula to know how much? Yes, there is, Mike, and I have the spreadsheet right here in my face. But if I start going through it right now, we'll be here to about 9 o'clock. But what I can do one of two things. I can share it with you offline, or I can share it next week. But I do have a formula that I created, and I used it with my clients. I mean, we bought dozens of properties with this formula. And just to kind of give you an overview, basically what it does, depending on what your goal is, if you want to buy and hold the property, meaning you want to buy this and keep it as a rental, you're looking to make a certain return on your investment. So however much cash you put into the deal, you want a return on that investment. That's your investment, whether you're using cash or a loan. And how you back into that basically is you use that number to drive everything else. So you use that number, along with all of the expenses that will be associated with that property and the income that you can generate from that property. So the rent minus all of the expenses, and you got to know all of your expenses, what they all are. And you want to make sure that the cash flow after paying all of that off, the profit at the end of the month, generates the 10 or 12%. And when you calculate return on investment, you're always doing it on an annual basis. So if at the end of the month you have $300 left over cash flow after paying all of the expenses, you multiply that times 12, and then that's how you determine if you hit your ROI number, and then you use that to bag into your purchase price. In order for me to hit this number, I can only afford to pay X amount of dollars for this property, or it just won't work. So that's the short end of it, but I'll show you that spreadsheet. I may bring it online next week. Okay, send it to your number. Send it through to my number.
I don't think you can text it.
I don't know if I can text that. Maybe I could put it in Google Drive and send you a link or something like that. Okay, will do, Mike. All right. Here's.
Is it the formula with the opportunity cost?
No, opportunity cost is something different, Mike.
Yeah.
Opportunity cost means. Here's what opportunity cost is. Opportunity cost is the cost of you missing out on opportunities because your money is tied up somewhere else, right? And we suffer opportunity costs in many different ways. One is if you use all your cash on one deal, then another opportunity comes, and that's a great deal. Whatever that deal could have made, that's your cost. You lost out. You lost out on that opportunity. Another way we suffer from opportunity costs, we lend our money to somebody else who ain't doing nothing with it, and we're not making money off of them, right? So a cousin, a relative come and say, let me hold $1,000. I need help. And you say, okay, I give you the $1,000. And then all of a sudden, $1,000 opportunity come that was going to make you $4,000, but you can't capitalize on it because you just gave your cousin the $1,000. That's opportunity cost. What we're talking about is ROI, which is return on investment. I took that $1,000 and I invested it into this real estate deal, and now that $1,000 is making me 12% every month, 12% every year, right? All right, so that's the difference between ROI and opportunity cost. Okay, here we go. Common pitfalls to avoid: buying without a clear goal or exit strategy. Always buy with your exit strategy in mind. Never buy a house and not know how you're going to get out of it, right? You always have to know where your exits are. Here's how I'm going to get out of this house if the market turns out upside down. Here's how I'm going to get out of this house when it stops appreciating in value. Here's how I'm going to get out of this house if the expenses just start getting too high. I'm starting to put too much money into repairs. Here's when and how I'm going to get out of this house just because I'm only buying it to generate capital to invest in another property. You always buy with your exit strategy in mind. Pitfall number 2, falling in love with the property instead of the numbers. And I said that many times on this call in a different way. Too often, novice investors go around looking for the house instead of looking for the deal. It's never about the house. It's always about the numbers, the deal. You fall in love with the property. That's number 2 rule in real estate: never fall in love with the property. And that's a hard thing to do. It was a building I was looking at for a couple years downtown. I called it my hotel. And there was an investor who was willing to put up money, but he wouldn't put it up for that property because he said the numbers don't look right. He said, don't fall in love with the property. And I said, I won't. And every time I roll downtown, I look at that property, I fall in love, and I call Malibu, I'm looking at the hotel. That man that moved long on from me, and I'm still falling in love with the property. Don't fall in love with the property, fall in love with the numbers. Number 3, common pitfall to avoid: overpaying due to hype or emotional decision making. Oh yeah, there's a big hype about Airbnbs right now. Everybody want to do an Airbnb because they think, oh, I can make $200 a day, $300 a day. And so, yeah, I can afford to pay X amount of dollars because according to my calculations, if I can make $200 a day, then I'm making way more than I could if I was just renting it. And next thing you know, you get an Airbnb and it don't rent out every day. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. Or the counties are now putting stipulations on you can't do Airbnbs here no more, right? Now you done overpaid for a property because you done bought it based on the hype and made an emotional decision. Number 5, underestimating repair or renovation costs. I did that. That's why I had to flip that other house to pay for repairs that I didn't expect to make. I thought this one house was going to cost me about $40,000 in repairs, and that house cost me $75,000 in repairs. And so I had to use my line of credit to get the repairs done and then flip a house to pay my line of credit off. You feel what I'm saying? But it's good that I know how to do that.
Right.
And that's all I'm trying to tell you. Learn the skill of flipping houses. Learn the skill of wholesaling. This is how you're able to raise capital quickly to offset your other activities. Anyway, last one, forgetting that this is a marathon and not a sprint. Yes.
Everybody wants fast money.
And we started off talking about real estate being a long-term investment game, a long-term investment business. Yeah, I'm going to stop saying game. We always say, I'm in the real estate game. It ain't a game. It's a business. It's a business for real. Yeah. Even though you may only be investing for your own personal purposes, it's still a business, and you have to treat it as such, right? There's income coming in, there's expenses going out, and if you are renting, then you have liabilities. Yeah, you got all kind of liabilities. It is a business. It's not a hobby, but it's a good business to be in, right? And we are at the end. I'm gonna let you read the last scripture. we still in the Bible. We still in the Bible. What that last scripture say?
Last scripture is Luke 14:28. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost?
Oh, that was my favorite.
Count up the cost.
Yeah, that was my favorite. I thought I saw a fly. My favorite. I did a sermon. I don't even know what you call it.
Count up the cost.
Yeah, it was called Count Up the Cost. But was it a sermon or was it a? I don't even know what they call it.
I think you put the two in. I don't know.
Yeah, that's when the pastors of the church had left and left me in charge. And I did my thing. Count up the cost. Oh, it
led into the financial part of Bible study.
It sure did. It sure did. Count up the cost. And basically, that's when Jesus says, who will sit down to build a tower without first sitting down to count? Who will set out to build a tower without first sitting down to count up the cost? When you are investing in real estate and in anything, sit down first and count up the cost. And if there was anything I would leave you with tonight is learn what the costs are. Right? I think a lot of people go in not really taking full account of all of the costs. Like, let's use a rental property, for example. If you have a mortgage, you've got principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. That's all part of your mortgage payment. But then you also have management, maintenance and repairs, vacancy rate. People don't put that in there. Like there will be times when there's no rent coming in on that property. And so you have to factor that in as cost, counting up the cost. And after you subtract all of that, that's when you say, okay, this is my cash flow. And then you calculate your return on investment based on that number. That number is oftentimes small, especially when you have a mortgage. But that's the number that you're working with. That's the number that you use to gauge whether or not you are on track for meeting your goals or not, right? It may be $200, it may be $300, maybe $400. And if you own the property free and clear, then that's going to be like $1,000, right? But if you try to bring in $10,000 a month, then you need 10 of those, right? And quite frankly, if you need 10,000, you probably need 20 because you need to have those reserves in place so that you can continue to run your business when things go wrong.
Yep, mahogany, gone are the days of an $800 mortgage.
Oh, those days are long gone. Yeah. Gone are those days. But don't let that fear you. That's why we're talking about what we're talking about, because if you can take the money that you make, here's the thing. And I know we're over time now, and we're actually done. We're actually done with that piece of paper. I want to leave you with this because Mahogany and Michael, you guys have asked some great questions and had some great comments. Here's what I would say. Keep your full-time job. Live below your means for a reason, not just to be living below your means. Live below your means so that you can save and invest more. And that way you can get to your goal quicker, right? So if you don't get caught up in the hype of the internet that you got to have all the fast flyest this and fanciest that and do all of the trips and the vacations of this, that, and the other thing, guess what? You all are in your Mahogany, in your 30s. Michael, you're in your 20s. Listen, if you do it now, you make the sacrifice now to earn as much income as you can, get your income up as high as you can, and get your living expenses as low as you can. Everything in the middle is money that you have to work on the bigger goal. Your job is not the end goal. It is just a means to the end. The end goal is, did you make your money work for you? Did you get yourself in a position where your money is working hard for you, that you don't have to wake up and go punch somebody's clock to survive, right? So when the day comes when you don't have to or want to go to work anymore for somebody else, your expenses are still being taken care of. That's the end goal. And you can only do that with money, right? You don't depend on the government. The government will fail you, right? This is real talk. What'd I say?
Yes, we have Aldi here.
Yeah, we got Aldi here. Yeah. Mahogany funny, bro.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Do not depend on the government coming to save you. It won't.
Yeah.
Right? You got to do this on your own. The government don't owe us nothing. We got to do this, y'all. Mm-hmm. We got to do it. You got to do it. So we all in this together.
Yeah.
Anything I can share, call me. Call me back.
Oh my God.
All right. Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did way over.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all. And y'all stayed on the line too. Look at y'all. Look at good for y'all. Good for y'all. Yeah. Man, I see all the people online. Okay. Must be nice. All right, y'all. We're gonna shut it down for the day. Until next time. Yeah.
Good night, y'all.
Wait a minute. You gonna close us out with a prayer? I guess not.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to you.
You ain't talking to me. You are not talking to me. No.
Okay.
You're going to close us out with your song.
I'm going to close us out with Feeding the Ducks. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we thank you for joining. We love you, and good night.
Good night.